All right, here we are. I've got a special guest today, and my producer went out sick. He just had to leave, and the intern had to leave. So got 3 cameras, a couple mics, and a box right here. And I'm going to be switching the, see how that goes. All right, so the guest that I have, take a look here. That's her. This is Jessica Gandara, my wife, and my wife of 22 years. We've got 4 kids. First of all, before anything, Jessica, I want to congratulate you on landing such a great husband.
Thank you. Thank you. I was a baby, just for the record. When we first met, I was 15, and I'm well beyond that right now. So I've known you more than half my life. That's pretty crazy.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, so how great is it married to me?
Oh, is this what this podcast is going to be about?
I didn't invite you. There's no other reason you're here.
Oh, boy. Well, if I'm going to be honest, it was very rough in the beginning. It's amazing now. I guess I'll start with that. It's amazing now. But it wasn't easy in the beginning. Our first year of marriage, I think anybody's first year of marriage is always rough. You're trying to get accustomed to each other. You're trying to figure each other out, trying to set, routines and space boundaries. And then once the kids came along, I think that was kind of...
Yeah, well, we didn't have kids the first 3 years of marriage.
Yeah.
We got married, when was it? 2002.
Yes.
And then we didn't have our first son until 2005. So 3 years. I thought those 3 years were great. I'm
sure you did. Because I'm just so easy. I'm easy peasy to get along with and to live with. You, on the other hand, it's a little more challenging.
Yeah. I'm really driven. I'm very demanding.
Yes.
Right?
And 100%.
Yeah. But I give.
Yes. You can be very giving. Yes.
I am very giving. All right. All right. Well, the show's over. Is that enough?
That's it? That's all you wanted to hear?
Yeah,
I guess... I guess if I had to do it any other way, this would be the way I would do it. Like rough in the beginning, and then as we're together longer, it just gets easier and easier.
And it has?
Oh, yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Just getting used to each other more?
Yeah, and I always say this when I talk to people and they ask me, like, how is it with Joel? Because you're so go, go, go all the time. And I am too, but you are definitely much more than I am.
Next level.
Absolutely. One quality that I love about you is that if I think that something was like over the top or you went too far or whatever, I can pull you aside and tell you, hey, I didn't like this, or I think you could have done this better if you would have thought about it this way, and immediately you analyze it. And if you agree, then you automatically rectify it. You go back, fix, say, I'm sorry, do whatever you got to do. And I've always said that is such a great trait that you have. Like immediately you're able to listen. So you don't put up a wall immediately. You're able to listen, take the feedback or the criticism or whatever, and then just do what you do with it. You can rectify it.
I can tell you from my perspective that's hard to do. Now it's gotten easier because I practiced it. But what I do is bite my tongue and go, all right, she might have a point here. Let's just hear it all out. And then I hear it all. And, I credit a lot of that to that Jocko extreme ownership. Own it. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, okay, let's hear it. Let's just keep hearing. And I try not to, as much as I want to, interrupt. I interrupt a lot. So I try not to. And I go, okay, wait, let me listen to this. And let me see if there's something I can improve on. And I did that in business pretty well first, but I wasn't as good at it in the house.
100%.
Right. And then I worked on, okay, how can I bring this to the house? How can I be better at listening to you about the problems? And then repairing them. And in the end, I win too.
Yeah.
Because if we have a great relationship, I'm half of that, right? So I get the benefit of having a great wife who, is happy. And it's not, I don't believe happy wife, happy life. I believe, what's the other way to say it? A happy spouse, happy house. Right, because I'm not a simp. I'm not just gonna be, well, as long as my wife's happy. Heck no. As long as we're both happy.
I don't even like that. Yeah, that saying.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's the simpiest comment I've ever.
Just very egotistical. Like, why is it all about me? It shouldn't be about me.
Yeah,
it's about us and what we create. And yeah, I don't like that happy wife, happy life thing either.
Yeah. All right, so What?
Lucky you.
Yeah, well, this was an interview process. You didn't get chosen just out of luck or because you're pretty. You got chosen because there was a process. I went through a process of like, here's the qualities I'm looking for, and I'm dating all these different women. And okay, I don't like that quality. That one's out. I don't care how I feel about her. I don't like that. If I sit down calmly and make a good decision, that's not good for me. It's going to cause a stressful life. There's a friend of ours who, when you and I were just married, I met him in college because we were married and then I was still going to college. It took me 10 years to finish. So I remember this friend saying, oh, I've got this girlfriend and man, she's feisty and she's this and that. I go, I wouldn't want that. I prefer like my wife that you've met. I go, she's so easy and relaxed and all the benefits. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't want that. I want more of a challenge. Well, they're divorced now.
Yeah.
And she left him first, the whole story. He could have avoided that because he saw the red flags. These are the red flags that guys see and they ignore because she's hot.
Well,
That's
not
all
only
they think.
guys. I mean, girls.
Girls do too, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we're very emotional, and we do not see all those red, or we see them, and we think we can change them.
Choose to ignore them, and think they can change the guy.
Yeah, well, we'll change that later, and they'll make really bad decisions.
Yeah, you're not changing anybody. For the most part, people are who they are. There are exceptions, but don't get with a guy thinking, yeah, he's a disaster, I'm going to change him.
Right.
Good luck with that. The other one was that you were good with money. Mm-hmm. We were initially, you are good with money. Initially, when we started dating or just talking to each other, we were 3,000 miles away. I was in California, you were in Florida. And I remember telling you that we would talk in the evenings and I would tell you the book that I was reading. And one of the books was about money and expenditures and stuff. And I shared that with you.
Is that the Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No, it was before that. And I don't remember the name of it. There's some lady who wrote this good book about money. And I was sharing it with you. And you replied back and said, oh, no, I would. Yeah, no, I see what that author's saying that. I would never waste money like that. And you gave me an example. And you were a teenager. You were 19 at this point. And you told me that, the book said that women carry expensive lipstick in their MAC purse, like very expensive. But then at home, they might use a less expensive brand. But the expensive one was to show off. And being someone, I've never cared to show off like that. I remember thinking that was so foreign. So I shared that with you that night. I go, you're not going to believe what I read in this book. And you said, oh, no, yeah, I know people. I know women who do that. Girls do that. And then I go, do you do that? And then you said, no, I buy the cheapest one and that's what I use. And that's
the discount pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly. I go, okay, I'm in love. Those sort of things because I don't want complications. I don't want a bad life. Those are all the things that the guys now tell me. Oh, you're just lucky that you have this wife that I go, it wasn't luck. That was part of the process. People, if they have a business, they interview candidates and they're careful with that. But with love, they just fell in love. They have a feeling. You're going to hire people on a feeling. You're going to promote people just on everything on feeling.
Yeah.
There's a place.
And those feelings fade.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my feelings for Jessica, let me zoom in here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to get the pleasure of seeing me here. Which camera? I don't even know. The feelings for me have not died down. We've been married 22 years, and I am more in love today than I was when we got married. So just wanted to share that. For me, I'm sure they've died down a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
It's not as exciting.
So now you're going to have me answer after that. Oh,
Go
brother.
on.
Oh, brother. So it's very different feelings. It's not the same feelings. This newness is not the same. Obviously, it's been 22 years. It's deeper. It's a deeper feeling. It's not like a superficial, like little butterflies. Like this is like deep. Like I can't imagine my world without you in it. I can't imagine growing old without you in it. So
okay, I got all that. But when she walks in the room, I still get the butterflies. When I called her on the way here to the studio, we came separate cars. And I called her, I go, so where are you at? She said, I'm 0.4 of a mile. I got that feeling. So.
Okay, so I'm a monster. I got it.
Yeah, well, it's just not as caring as I am.
Oh, I hate you. Yeah, so drastic.
And, the only red flag I saw when you and I started talking is that you were a little bit stubborn.
I can still be stubborn.
Yeah, I never liked that. I told you to put on those headphones. And you said it's going to...
Wow, you're really going to bring that up right now.
Because I just thought about it.
It's going to ruin my hair.
Yeah, you're going to ruin your hair. And I go, just put it on. It doesn't matter. You go, no. And you're just stubborn.
I just said, do I really have to? You make it sound like I was on and on about it. I
No,
just said,
not
do
on
I
and
really
on.
have to? Because it's going to ruin my hair.
Yeah, not on and on. I have a memory. All right. All right. So, what else you want to talk about? I have no questions. I wrote nothing here. I know everything about you, I think. You like
I guess
being
I think I get asked a lot, like how we make it work. How come we're always laughing? How come we have this great relationship despite the fact we have 4 kids? We're super busy. Like, they're like, how do you make it work?
we got a lot of moving parts. We've owned businesses
Yeah.
for years together.
We've gone through some major stresses together. So I think people, at least I know people that have asked me, like, how do you keep it fun after all these years? And what would you say is your...
I'm hilarious. Let's start there. I'm really funny.
You are pretty clever.
Oh yeah. I come up with things.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah. The kids used to think I was the funniest guy in the world. And then they got into their teen years and they don't laugh at my jokes anymore. But to this morning, when Austin was getting ready for school, we were all in the kitchen. I said a few things and man, it brought back the hope. He's 11 years old. Like, he was laughing so hard at the things I was saying. So that was good. We had one of your friends once visit years ago. And I think she's a nurse, and Jessica was a registered nurse before in the hospital. And that friend of yours hung out with us all day. And
we were moving.
We were?
She came to help us move.
Oh, okay. So that I don't even remember, but I remember
Which
she
is
was
a stressful time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we take coffee breaks. We were hanging out with her the whole day. And she said, I remember that was weird to me.
I know.
She's like, how do you guys have this relationship? You guys are always laughing together and it's like you're crazy about each other and all this stuff. And she said,
well, she had been with her boyfriend for years prior to this conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
they had been together for a long time.
so she'd never been around people like us.
Right.
And she said, how do you guys get along this way? You guys are constantly laughing.
She's like, I can remember the last time him and I laughed like this.
Yeah.
I said, what?
We laugh all day.
All the time.
What is their life like? Are they still together?
I have no idea. Well, I spoke to her maybe 4 or 5 years ago and they were.
Okay.
But I don't know what the quality of that relationship is like.
I mean, to imagine a never laugh. Yeah, that never laugh. She said years that we haven't laughed together.
I know.
Wow.
Sad.
So, we laugh. We share everything.
We prank each other.
Yeah.
Look at your face. Did you have the camera on your face?
No.
It just totally morphed like,
Because you brought back a great memory.
Oh my goodness.
There was a time
it was evil, that look.
we have down here in South Florida, we got iguanas. And we had like a 2-foot iguana. It was dead. And I don't know.
It was like petrified.
Yeah, but like the head had a slice through it. Like maybe the gardener hit it with a machete or something. And it was
Disclaimer, I'm horrified
Yeah.
of... Well,
Reptiles.
pretty much every
the
animal.
mouth was open and the head was sliced. And I picked it up with my machete and I positioned it properly in the mailbox.
So that
facing
the face
out.
is facing out.
And I asked you to go get the mail.
I was on my way to work and at the hospital and I was trying to get out. And he said, do you mind just grabbing the mail before you go? And him and the kids...
Yeah, we had 2 kids back then. They were little. They're grown men
ran
now.
to the window.
And we were watching.
Just
Unfortunately, I don't know if we had a video camera back then. Phones back then didn't
No.
record video. So we have no recording of it. But it was
Thank
the
God.
best jump scare I've ever seen.
Scream.
The whole neighborhood probably came
Oh
out to
my
see what was happening.
goodness.
That was fun. So we have fun like that together. And and we communicate a lot.
A lot.
A lot. We talk all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been married 22 years. And we never go to bed. Not that we don't go to bed angry, because I've got a bit upset and,
I know.
and bothered. Well,
I know, I'm a happy guy.
what is there to be upset about with me?
Yeah.
But there may be things that I've gone to bed like, ugh. But I've told you before, like bed, like I didn't like that. Like that's not sitting
you've
well
gotten
with
it
me.
off your chest and then knock out.
Yeah.
And then I stay with it.
Yeah,
That's happened.
maybe.
That's happened.
But I get it off my chest. Like I don't take that with me. I don't let it fester. I just kind of let you know, like, hey, that didn't sit well with me. I didn't like that. And again, like I said, part of your like great quality is that you take that information and you analyze it.
It's I'm not an engineer. I didn't study anything like that, but I like to fix things. Not like a patch in the wall or anything necessarily, but
No.
Not that guy.
He is not handy.
But I see a process in a business broken and I want to fix it. I see this not like a business, but this is my project. This is my main project is our marriage. That's number one. Because before that, Well, no, if we have kids, yes. A lot of people say, well, no, my kids are number one. That's why their marriages go downhill.
Right.
But for us, it has remained number one is us.
Yeah.
Because those kids are going to become, we already see it. We have 2 kids that have grown up, and we're not as big a part of their life as when they were little kids, but we still have that between us. And then when these next 2, our last 2, get out of the house, it's just us.
Yeah. And imagine if we would have not taken the time to pour into our relationship, and then those 4 kids get up and leave. What's going to be left of our relationship? Like, we're going to be 2 strangers in a house, kind of everyone doing their own thing, going their separate ways. What a lonely way to coexist. I don't know.
Yeah, we won't have that problem.
No.
We're together a lot. I for one, love it. I love being
it.
together all the time.
I love it. I want to wring your neck sometimes, but I still love it.
We go on a lot of dates.
Yep.
Remember a few months ago? I think we put it on YouTube. I think it's there.
The 31, not 31, how many dates
we can do in 31 days.
31 days, yeah.
And a couple of those days, I went to a daddy-daughter camping trip, so I lost like 2 or 3 days there. 3 days, I think we couldn't do it. But we hit a lot of dates. I don't remember how many. But we had days where we did multiple dates. Like, we would go get a massage, and then we would go to dinner, and then we would go to coffee, and then, and so one day we counted that as like 3 separate dates because we did 3 separate things. To me, that's a blast. And we don't always do that. We never count, but we go on a lot of dates. And some of these dates, for anybody who just doesn't have the money, like we, in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of money. We would go walk on the beach.
Yeah.
And we would make sandwiches and take them to the beach or to a park, right? We always found a way to make a date. But I think one of those things that is so powerful, and it's free, is go for a walk.
Oh, yeah.
Hold hands with your wife or your husband, or whatever, and go for a 30-minute walk.
Yep.
An hour long
There's a lot
walk.
to talk about.
Yeah.
You can find a lot to talk about.
Yeah. You're exercising. You're getting sun. You're bonding. You're communicating.
And there's no distractions. There's no phones. There's no kids, calling your name. It's just one-on-one time. I love it. I love going for walks.
Yeah.
Very therapeutic.
And also, what we found that I think is really good is working out together. I love doing everything with you, but like a few things that come to mind. First of all, I love going to jiu-jitsu with you.
I don't love going to jiu-jitsu with you.
No, you don't like rolling with me. You don't mind rolling with all the guys there, but
oh my goodness. Well, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't mind rolling with the other guys there because they're not trying to kill me the way you are trying to kill me. For some reason, you have this. When you see me on the mat, you just see red, and you try to go for my neck. Even, let's be clear, even our coach was like, "Joel, that's your wife. Take it easy."
Yeah.
You go crazy. So yes, I do not
they
like to train with you.
They think you're extremely feminine. It's so attractive, but you're also very strong. And guys tell you all the time, like, I did not expect you to be that strong. I know how strong you are. I saw you give birth 4 times. I saw you push. I saw you get 3 hours of sleep and go work a 12-hour shift at the hospital and not complain and come home and do more. You're tough. You could take it. And if you ever get attacked on the street, it's not going to be by a girl. It's going to be by a man. And it's going to be by a rough guy. So you're welcome. I'm helping build you up. So I love going to jiu-jitsu with you. I love hot yoga with you.
Oh, yes, agreed.
Because the endorphins that are released in hot yoga are amazing. And when we come out of there together,
so lovey.
We're just holding hands. We're all dripping sweat and we're so happy, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to do together. What else? What can we talk about? What would you like to share? How about this? Tell us about your childhood.
Okay.
Your parents are from where?
So my parents are both Cuban. My mom left Cuba when she was young, when she was 2, and my dad left when he was about 12. We grew up my parents grew up in New Jersey, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, in that area. I was born there, but I was raised down here in Miami.
Quit looking at the camera. Look at me.
You know my story.
Sorry, you're talking to me.
Okay. Well, and that's, if you're hearing an accent, that's where I get it from. I have the Miami accent that you so nicely point out every time we meet someone new. They're like, "Oh, did you hear our accent?"
Yeah, well, it used to be that everyone would ask you because it was really strong. When I moved here, it's funny because I'm the guy who came here on a boat and my English is pretty good. And yours...
Mine is exotic.
Yeah, yours sounds like you just got off the boat.
Like a Sofia Vergara.
Maybe. I don't think it's not that strong. But you definitely have the Miami, you had a strong Miami accent. And then, so your parents were born I mean, grew up in New Jersey. You were born there. You came here when you were little.
My parents divorced when I was 2.
And then your mom moved you down here?
Well, the reason we came down here was because I was like deathly sick. Me and winter just do not mix well. So my mom says that my first everything was in the hospital. The first words that I had, the first time I walked, everything happened in the hospital. I had a lot of the respiratory issues, the croup and the bronchitis and all that itises that you can get. So the doctor told her, you need to go somewhere more tropical. So here we are in sunny South Florida. So we left when I was 2. And my dad, I would be with my dad in the summers. And then as got a little bit older, he moved down to South Florida and he was here for a bit. But I don't have much of a relationship with my father. When I was 15, well, I guess I should start off by saying that I'm a conformist. I'm happy anywhere you put me. I am not picky. I don't like to, cause waves. I love peace. So here I am, 15 years old, and I had not yet really been to any parties because every time a party would come around, it would happen to be on the weekend that my dad would have to pick me up, and I would hate to tell my dad, like, can you not pick me up this weekend? Maybe, next weekend, or I just didn't want to cause any issues. I was very, pacifist that way. So eventually I didn't even have the nerve to call him or tell him, hey, I want to go to this party, do you mind? And he was working as a manager at a gas station. So even when I was with him, I never saw him anyway. So he would send me off to his mom's house for like hours upon hours, like 6 a.m. until like 10 o'clock at night.
So on the weekends, you'd be with him. You didn't really see him too much.
No, I didn't see him anyway. So I was getting really frustrated. Here I was 15, staying at my grandmother's house there was no electronics at that time there. I was, there was nothing to do. And she wouldn't allow me to watch certain things on TV. She lived in an apartment complex. I couldn't go outside. So I was just sitting on her couch in her house from like 6 a.m. to like 10 o'clock at night. So finally I wrote him a letter and I just said, I appreciate you coming to pick me up on the weekends, but I never see you anyway, and I'm 15. I'm getting invited to here in South Florida for the Latinos. There's quinceañera parties, which are big parties. It's like a sweet 16 party for the Americans. And I said, I'm starting to get invited to all these parties. I really want to attend these parties. How about you pick me up on your days off, and that way I can spend like quality time with you, and we can go to the movies or have dinner. But that way it's not an all weekend thing, and then you have to figure out how to spend time with me. Just do it on your days off. And he never spoke to me again.
That was when you were 15?
That was when I was 15. That's all it took.
When did you hear from him again?
I didn't hear from him again until I was 9 months pregnant and with Ryan, our first, and already married with you. And the only reason he got back in touch was because my half-sister, who's 7 years younger than me, she found me on MySpace, and she reached out saying, I want to see you. I want to catch up, but, So thanks to her, we're back in touch. But it was very odd showing up 9 months pregnant with my husband to go see everyone there. I have, with my dad and my stepmom, I had 2 sisters and a brother. And my mom remarried and had a brother. I had a half brother with her on her side. So after that happened, after my dad left and never responded again, I had cancer. I had thyroid cancer. And
at age
15. I had surgery at 16.
Okay.
So they found out in March. My birthday's in April. So they found out in March. I found out in March that I had thyroid cancer, which was a complete fluke that I found it. I was supposed to get a history and physical to go on a field trip. And that's how I found it. I had no symptoms, no nothing. I felt fine. So I did I went through the whole cancer thing, had my surgery, and my thyroid removed. Luckily, I didn't need any chemo or anything like that at that time. And they didn't want to be very aggressive with me because I was so young. So after that whole thing, I had to, actually, I'm lying. My dad came back into the picture when I was 18.
How long did that last?
It didn't until I got married and I was pregnant.
He came back one day?
He came back one day, took me out to lunch and apologized for abandoning me and said, I want to be a part of your life. I want you to be a part of mine. Come to my house anytime you want. I was driving at this point. And I hadn't even mentioned that I had cancer. I didn't want a pity party. And I remember going, it was like in the middle of summer, and I remember going in a turtleneck
To hide your scar.
to hide my scar. I just didn't want him to feel sorry for me. And after that conversation, I didn't speak to him again until I was 23, pregnant and married. So
what did that do for you? Not, really not. So you grew up with a stepdad, kind of, but what did that do for you from the moment he took off and there was no communication? And this is before texting and a lot of stuff early on. So what did that do for you?
It's funny because I couldn't, if you were to ask me this same question maybe a year ago, I really wouldn't know the answer to it. I would think, I overcame it. It didn't affect me. I really, pushed past it. But I'm in a forum, a women's forum, and during one of our retreats, we discussed blind spots. And one of the girls called me out and said, why is it that every time you have a chance to lead and like be up in center, front and center, you shy away from that and you run away from that? And I thought, what is she talking about? Like, no, I don't. And she said, yeah, every time we've given you a chance to lead and be out there, you hide from it. And I remember being in the car and having that like fester in my head and play over and over. And I thought, why does she see that? What am I doing that, that's making her see that?
Yeah, because when people say something like that, they're observing. There's got to be some truth to it.
Which is why it's called a blind spot. You don't see it.
You don't see it.
Right?
You're blind
so
to it.
When I asked the other girls in the group, I'm like, is she the only one that sees this? And they all said, no, it's true. And I thought, okay, well, there's something here. So I asked them to do a deep dive. And I said, let's dig into this. Let's someone coach me in this process. I want to get down to business and figure this out. And it all came, after peeling back the onion, it all came back to the fact that when my dad left, he took with him my confidence. Before that, I was doing, plays and drama at school, and I would get the lead role, and I would do all these things. I was always out there, putting myself out there. And once that happened, I never did any of that again.
Maybe was it maybe a sense of abandonment? Like maybe you're not good enough because people leave you?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure that's part of it. Like I finally said what I feel, and I voiced my opinion, and look what happened. I got,
So maybe that makes you feel like I should just stay quiet and not be in the limelight.
Right. So yeah, up until last year, I think I had thought that everything was fine, that I was living my life fine. And then when she called me out on that, that was a big eye-opening moment for me. And I think since that happened, my life has done a full, complete
so what's
circle.
Changed?
I see, the way I see myself, the way I think. I did have to do some inner child therapy, which if anybody has any inner child stuff that needs to get cleared up, I think that's such a great way to go about it. I know you've done it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And if people won't know they have inner stuff things, a child stuff thing to clear up. But if you've got anything in your life, it could get cleared up with doing this inner child work. Right?
Yeah. And I hadn't even heard of inner child therapy until you did it, and never thought about doing it until this whole process where I was committed to finding out what
happened?
Yeah, what happened and why I feel the way I feel. So this whole year, it's been a year of growth. I remember when the year started, I said this year I'm going to commit to growth. I'm going to change around this whole low confidence thing that I didn't know I had. And now looking back, I see absolutely that I did have it. It was going to be my year for growth, and it has been. I started my women's program. I wrote a book. I've been on podcasts. I feel like I'm really putting myself out there. And even just the way I think about myself and my inner talk is very different. Very, very different.
Wow. That's amazing. And I've got a front row seat. I've seen all that. And I think it's great that you've been doing it. So your women's program is, talk to us about it.
So my women's program came about thanks to your men's program. After Joel had... after every men's class, there was so much change and breakthroughs that the men were just marveled and were like, wait, my wife needs something like this, or my sister needs something like this. And after enough probing, you said, maybe you should consider opening up the women's side of this. And a little bit of that imposter syndrome came about, that low confidence came about. And I thought, who's going to want to read my book? What am I going to say? Yeah.
Totally
what's my
normal
story? And I was able to push past that and wrote my book. It's my turn. And I love the title. I find it empowering. I even love the cover. I'm so happy with it. So it's my turn, like to say my story and to put myself out there and to challenge myself. As women, I think we are naturally, nurturers. So we put everyone ahead of us, our kids, our husband, our pets, our, the housework, everything comes before us. First one up, last one down, last one's to eat, things like that. And that's all great, but eventually it takes a toll. Eventually you pour out enough, there's not enough left for you and you're on fumes. So how do you show up to your husband? How do you show up to your family? You're bitter, you're, I don't know,
tired.
Snappy. Yeah, you're snappy. You're just, you're not showing up your best self. So I decided to write this book, and I think I wrote it more for me than for anybody else, to keep this front and center and keep it real and say, okay, I have to put myself first. As much as I want to be and give of myself to my kids and to you all the time, if I don't pour into me, then I have nothing to give to you guys. So I wrote the book, got my first class from all the sisters and wives and everything from the first round of guys that did your class. And I was in heaven. I loved it. I felt like this was absolutely my calling. I felt, even though I love nursing and being a nurse, I felt so much more fulfillment from this than any of my RN experiences. So immediately did another class, and now we're up to it's going to be class 9.
And you've even done 1 or 2 in Spanish, right?
I've done 2 in Spanish, which is a big thing for me because, as you know, although I sound like I speak Spanish, which I do, I speak it and read it and all of that, but I think in English, I dream in English, everything is English. So for me to have to translate these challenges in Spanish gave me some anxiety. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to lead a class in Spanish? I like to speak Spanglish. I throw in some words there. I might even make up some words in Spanish and they can pick it up by context. But so it gave me some anxiety, but I went ahead and did it anyway. And I've loved every minute of it.
And now your book's translated in Spanish.
Yeah, it is.
As well.
Yeah.
And so when women do this 31-day challenge, it's similar to the men's, except for it's written in, it's you.
Yeah.
And
the challenges are different.
They're
There's
for
some
women.
that are the same,
Some are
like
similar.
the love languages.
Yeah.
Some are the same.
Things are universal. So what comes out of these 31 days? What improvements have you seen women say?
So one big one that stands out was one girl from my first class. She had said that she wanted to write a kid's book, and it's always been her dream to write a kid's book. And I said, well, why haven't you done that yet? And of course, we all have, life gets in the way. Oh, I have kids and I work and this and that. And she had a vision for it already. She knew what she wanted it to look like. She had the whole story in her head. And she may have started a chapter or 2, and just that's it. It kind of dropped there.
Well, it was a short kids book.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
it could have been knocked out, but she'd been sitting on it for years, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And with accountability partners, and when having me push her and put some fire down her neck.
Jessica is the accountability queen. She won't let you say you want to do something and let you slide. You got to get it done. She'll make you do it.
I don't believe in excuses.
So what happened?
So before the 31 days were over, her book was on Amazon, and it was a very big deal what it did for her confidence. I think she's even writing a second book now.
And it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, it's a tribute to her dad who passed away from Alzheimer's. And it's just helping kids understand what Alzheimer's is.
And aside from becoming an author and now putting out a beautiful message, she showed her son that, look, mommy is an author, and look at this book, how beautiful. But her self-confidence has to be through the roof. And she's a successful engineer and married and with a kid and have a good life. But she was able to go up a notch with that. That's beautiful.
So that's one thing. We've had, weight loss, which is, it's funny because everyone, I guess, since they see me fit, they think this is a fitness book. And it's not a fitness book, although fitness is it's a small component of the book. It's not the focus. But one of the girls, so one thing that happens when you're in these types of groups is that you feed off of each other. And as you know, with your men's groups, it's somebody is excited and motivated and inspired and, hey, let's do this. And then everyone jumps on board. So that kind of happened in one of the classes where somebody said, one of the days is like to do something really hard. And one of the girls said, let's do a long walk. And I said, well, you know what? My son and my husband have done a walk where they walked from our home to the beach, which was 21 miles. I'm going to do that. And as soon as I just voiced that out, I mean, I had 40 girls reach out to me individually, like, I want to do this with you. Can I go with you? And one of the girls that signed up for the class, she had walked at most 2 miles at one time. She just wasn't a walker in her life. Yeah, she that wasn't her thing. She has asthma, she's overweight, and she was like, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm doing it with you. I said, okay, great. And we trained for months. And the morning of, she said, again, I don't think I'm going to hit 21, but I want to see how far I can take this. She not only made it to 16 miles, which is amazing. At most, even with all the training she had done, was 5 miles. That's the most she was able to get. In one day. Yeah. She got to 16 at an alarmingly fast pace. She was right behind us. And we were going fast. And she was right behind us. And what that's done is created such a firestorm. She said, that she is so committed now to hit those 21, which we decided to do annually now. So there's so much excitement at the finish line that we definitely said, we got to do this again. So now we're going to make this a yearly thing. And it was 23 of us, by the way, who went on this walk. It was amazing. So November 2025. Projected.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. She just like blew her own mind. And to see her be so excited and have this fire now, like, oh my God, I can do hard things. I can do this. Nothing is going to stop me.
And that has to carry over because she owns a business.
Absolutely.
Her husband owns a business. They have 2 kids and her health wasn't good. And now she's taking control. So I think it's part of it is taking control and not being a victim. Saying, well, I have this. My genes are this way.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. The other day, what were you told about an autoimmune disease based on your blood work?
So I'm seeing a functional medicine doctor, and she said, based on all your labs and everything that you're going through, she's like, I'm convinced that you have an autoimmune disease. However, it's dormant because of your lifestyle. She says, the minute you let go and start not taking care of yourself and not eating well, that autoimmune is going to show. She said, because all your markers are there for autoimmune. She's like, and all my food sensitivities and all these things that are happening, these gut issues and stuff. And our daughter has celiac disease, so that's an autoimmune. And I know I'm a carrier for the celiac disease gene. So she says, that, no question, you have an autoimmune. But
so your genes are the loaded gun. You didn't get to choose that. But you pull the trigger or not.
Right.
And you have not pulled the trigger because look how healthy you are. Yep. Look how great you feel. Yep. Right. And working with that doctor, you're even in better condition now. Yep. How many people out there are just so sick? But we're all born with a gun that's loaded or not loaded for different things, but they keep pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
They keep eating processed food. Yeah. They keep staring at a screen for 12 hours a day. They get themselves in a bad relationship. Oh, and when they're unhealthy, who do they attract?
Right.
A mate who's unhealthy as well. I've told our boys, and I guess all 4 of the kids now, but I've always said, if you are not in good shape, when it comes time for you to find a partner, a wife, what are you going to attract? If you're obese and you're sitting on the couch all day, do you think a beautiful, fit woman that is trying to get after it and improve you're not going to attract her? Yeah. You're going to have this pool to choose from that's at the bottom of the barrel, who's unhealthy, who's got bad habits, because they're going to be a reflection of you. So,
the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you most spend your time with. Yeah. When we moved from Miramar to Weston, I mean, we weren't in the best shape.
But we weren't too bad.
Yeah, we weren't too bad. We would walk and run and stuff. Not often, but we weren't too bad a shape. But the minute we moved to Weston, and it's such an active community, everyone's biking, running, walking. Triathlons. Yeah, all these things. Immediately we leveled up. We were just like, we gotta keep up with it.
It didn't hurt that our next door neighbor, Jody Samuels, is a champion ultra marathon runner. And she's like, you guys should just go sign up for a half marathon.
Yeah.
We go, well, we've never even done a 5K. It doesn't matter. Sign up for a half. Yeah. And we said, let's do a 5. Badass. Yeah. So we did some 5Ks. And then she go, okay, you're ready for a half marathon. We did some 10Ks.
Well, it's funny because I'm training for a marathon, my first marathon for January. And I've run 1 half marathon, and that was years ago when I was younger. And my day for running my half, because now the miles are getting up there because the training is coming to an end soon. And it's my half marathon day. And she was so excited. She's like, I'm going to run it with you. I'm like, Jody, my pace is not going to be your pace. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to be fun, but we're going to do it. And we really, I mean, we rocked it. It really was fun. It just depends who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, you promised me years ago, because you're a big liar sometimes. You promised me that you would never run a marathon. And now,
I promised me that.
Yeah, and now you're about to run a full marathon, your first full.
But this is what happens, like what I was saying in the women's groups. When we finished that 21-mile walk, we were so pumped. We were so excited. One of the girls is like, oh my gosh, let's keep this momentum going. This is 21 miles. Let's walk 26. And I was like, okay, maybe next time I'll walk 26. She's like, forget walking. Let's run it. Let's run a marathon. I was like, well, I mean, that's very different. Walking and running is very different. And she said, okay, let's walk one. And I thought, okay, maybe that's not too bad. And then like 3 other girls like, yes, let's do it. Let's sign up. So we all signed up. Not all of us, 5 of us signed up.
That's good. 5, 6 to sign up for a marathon.
For a marathon. So now our training is an interval training, which is walking and running. And it's been fantastic. I've actually enjoyed the process more than I thought I was going to. But all that stems from being in groups like these and in challenges like these.
Yeah. Earlier, you talked about the book and the program and why women need something like that, because often women like you, the good ones, put everybody in front of themselves because they're so giving. Something that we've had a challenge with is me telling you, and you taking my advice finally, hopefully you're doing it better, is to let the kids do some stuff. Because you were burned out and you were tired, but you wouldn't let them do things. And they've got each of them 2 capable hands, and they're getting bigger and stronger, and they can take out the garbage. They can, I always took out the garbage, but now we've passed that on. You used to wash the dishes. Well, we have somebody who could do that, the kids, and pay them for it. Just everything. You used to pick up their backpacks and their things, right?
Yep.
Is that something that women struggle with? Because I have no problem delegating everything, as you know.
Yes, I know that very well.
Yeah. First I delegate to you, and then I tell you, oh, you don't want to do all that? Delegate it to them.
Yeah.
To your subordinates.
I mean, yeah, I think, moms and women, we pile it on, and we're not good delegators. I'm not a good delegator. I struggle with that still. I do it, but it's not a comfortable feeling for me. I feel like I can do it faster, or it's not going to be done the way I want it, or so I still delegate, but it does have a little irky feeling inside sometimes.
But it frees you up.
It does.
If you want to go for a 10-mile run, because you got to do that, but there's 6 things that have to be done in the house. What if you could do one of those things? Now you can go on your run.
Yeah.
And then the kids can do those
There's
other
no question. There has to be delegation.
Things. And just for the record, I say all the time, just ask me for help. What do you want me to do? Am I going to, I don't think I ever say no when you ask for it, right?
No.
You just ask for help, right? Tell me, hey, I really could use help with this, right?
That's a chapter in my book.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to.
We have to start applying it more. Yeah. Just ask me for help. I will help every time I can. Whenever you tell me, hey, I'm going to go on a really early morning run, can you make sure the kids get out of the house and do the lunches or whatever for the little ones? Yeah, sure. I've never said no. I'm not going to say no unless I've got something scheduled and I just can't.
See, but you're a great partner. Not everybody has it so good.
That's a good point. Talking about our relationship and almost to the point where it doesn't seem real for the typical outside person. Years ago, we had an employee who was very important to us, and he got a DUI, and he had only been with us 6 months, but I already saw how great he was. And he pulled me out. We went outside, and he said, hey, before I got this job, I got a DUI, and I'm going to have to quit because I'm going to lose my license for the next 6 months. And I live like 35 miles from here. There's no way I could come here every day. I can't get a ride. And I said, no, let's work something out. Hold on. And I said, why don't you come live with us for the next 6 months?
During the week.
So his dad, he was young. He was like 22. His dad would drop him.
So crazy. I hear that number because his birthday just passed. And
he's getting close to 40 now.
Oh, my God.
So he was 22. And so his dad would drop him off at work Monday morning and pick him up Friday afternoon. And in between that, he stayed at our house. And he was like just another one of our kids.
Yep.
And so we told him to do that. And he did. And he was dinners with us.
Everything.
Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. Just everything that we would do.
Yeah.
He would be there with us and got to know each other really well. And it was cool for me because I had like a somebody I could talk to about work a lot other than you. I'd get home and him and I would sit in the back, have dinner, and
we
then
were
go.
friends.
Yeah, we became very friendly. And we'd sit in the backyard and talk about the business and the future and goals. And we built the company pretty good together. So, and he was with us for like 8 years working with us. And one day we were at work and we heard the employee, maybe we heard him or he told us, I forget now how it went.
No, he told us.
Oh, he told us this, that at work, all the employees one day were saying, this can't be real. This whole thing between Jessica.
Like, how are they at home?
Yeah, this has got to be fake. There's no way they get along this well. It's fake. And so he was listening to them and letting them talk. And then he goes, hey guys, you remember those 6 months that I lived with them? None of it was fake because I was there morning, noon, at work together, all of us, at home, everything. And this was the real deal. In fact, he said, I sometimes heard you guys talking when you didn't know I was there. And he goes, everything about it was real. And he said that the employees were all shocked that, wow, this stuff is real.
I mean, I like to live my life as an open book. What you see is what you get. I'm not faking anything. I mean, and you too, like it's funny because when our older son had to go to military boarding school, that was the darkest time of my life.
He was just turned 14.
Yeah. If there was ever a time that I can say I was depressed, it was definitely that time. And I remember, I would carry myself well. Everything was fine on the outside. And I would go to school, the kids' school, to volunteer. And some random mom, poor mom, she would say, hey, how is your son? How is it? And I would just lose it. Like
crying.
Hysterical crying. And they're like, oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm like, no, and just what you see is what you get. I don't hide things. If I'm struggling, I try to find answers. So like, if I open up and cry, it's in the hopes of like you telling me like, look, I've heard of this book, try this book, or I've heard this thing, you can talk to this person. So I'm never trying to hide anything because I always want to learn.
Isn't it true that we see so many people who aren't like this and their lives
daily
and their lives suck?
Yeah.
And they're all these problems. It's a front. They're bottling it all up. Yeah, you're right. You and I don't go around crying to anybody. First of all, we hardly have issues because we work on them early on and catch them. But yeah, we don't mind being vulnerable. When I read Brene Brown, that book about vulnerability, it was a good book. But the whole time I thought, big deal. We've been doing this since day one. We're not scared to be vulnerable. Now, we don't go out and tell everybody in the world, hey, our son's going through this thing, and we don't even know who they are. But to a friend, hey, we're going through this thing right now. It's really tough. We share those things. I mean,
even without it being a friend, as a stranger, if you ask me, like, what is it like with, teenage boys? I'm going to tell you, it's not all, rainbows and butterflies. It's tough. And I'll give you examples. And, I don't like people to think that we have this immaculate, perfect life. Nothing is perfect.
Nothing.
And we all struggle and we all, have our intricacies and all this, but we've learned ways to work around them, to like that whole time that I was depressed. I didn't sit there and sulk forever. I read, uplifting books. I journaled. I did a lot of, talking to other people, and I didn't just sit there. Like, I really try to get myself out of it. And I think we're very good at that. We don't just, like, it's not perfect, but we figure things out. We just,
yeah. And also we have a clear understanding that nothing can be perfect.
Yeah.
Otherwise you think, well, when I get to this point, it'll be perfect. It's never going to be. So we've lowered that expectation, which helps be more happy, right? We're not worried about, we're going to have the perfect marriage, the perfect house, the perfect car. Yeah. Anything you get in life, it's going to have a problem. You have perfect parents, there's perfect kids. There's no perfection. And since we accept that, we're better. We're happier.
There's
because
a
of it.
saying that I like that says, appreciate everything, expect nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's how, that's kind of my motto for life.
With everything that we have. So something I found interesting is that when you were a kid, you're a teenager, you started working in after school care at a school, and you would get your paycheck, your little tiny paycheck, and you would hand it over to your mom.
Oh yeah. Everything. I would do tutoring on the side. I worked as an after school care, teacher. I was babysitting. I was doing all types of little jobs, and every single penny went to my mom to help pay bills. So
that was good. I mean, good in the sense that at an early age, you had to, number one, work, and number two, realize, there are expenses. You didn't live in this Barbie dream house world where, it's all going to be done for me.
No,
right?
No, not at all.
I think that's part of one of the many things that makes you a great wife is that you're hardworking and you're good with your money.
Yeah.
Right. You don't go around wasting it. Another thing I'll share, a good story that came up in my mind is that, so I had a girlfriend and she had this car and she hated her car. And I remember her crying to me that she hated her car. It was so ugly. It was white and it had black door handles. And as she was crying to me, she goes, for God's sake, it's white with black handles. It looks horrible. Right? She's crying to me. And I remember thinking her parents gave her that for free. And I never had any. I bought my cars. I paid my insurance. I paid my gas. I paid everything since I was a kid. And I remember thinking, well, I don't know, maybe she's right to cry about that. And then so that was in my mind. And then I went to Miami, and not to visit you or anything. I went with my cousin Mike, and we went to visit you because you and him were pen pals, right? Mm-hmm. Because years ago before I had introduced you guys, so we just went to visit, and I met your mom and stuff. And we went, you guys got in my car, you, my cousin, your friend, and we went out to dinner. And as we were leaving, you said, that's my car. I love it. Isn't it cute?
It's the same exact
car. It was
car.
the same car. And I remember thinking, whoa, what a stark difference. That girl thought that was the worst thing and crying about it. You had the same thing. Yours was green.
Yeah, it was green.
I thought it was uglier.
No, I loved it.
Okay, well, compared to that other one, I would have had hers before I had yours. And then you thought that yours was great. And I remember that stuck in my mind. I was not interested in you.
And for the record, it came out of my pocket.
Yeah, you paid for it.
My grandfather fronted the money, but I worked the entire summer to pay him off.
Yeah.
So
I remember that sticking in my mind, like, look at that. The same scenario. One person sees it as a bad thing, and the other one is the opposite, crying that it was so ugly, it was free, but this one worked for it and saying, look at my car, how cute it is. So those are things that, man, if there's a young guy out there listening, look for a girl like that. Mine's taken. Can't have her, but yeah. So you were a registered nurse for about 10 years, right? From the age of like 20 to 30. And did you love it?
I did. I loved the camaraderie with the nurses. I loved feeling like I was part of someone's like intimate moment, because I was a labor room nurse toward the end, which was the most fulfilling out of all the years that I was a nurse. Because being a bedside nurse, like for a medical surgical floor, it's pretty draining. It's emotionally draining, physically draining, and you're just surrounded by death and disease and sickness all the time. So you don't. And
there's no happy moment. There's no like, oh my God, the baby's here. Everybody's hugging and kissing. That's what I was gonna say.
There's no moment where you feel like, oh, this person's getting better. Great. Like usually it's a very, very sick person. So you don't get that reward. But as a labor room nurse, it was so special to be a part of this family's, like, such a special moment. So I loved that part of it. I didn't love so much working with the doctors.
Yeah, they weren't always the nicest to you.
No, they
weren't. But it's okay. You got your Prince Charming who got you out of having to work.
You did.
You know what I find interesting about all that is that I was trying to get you to stop working in nursing for so long. We were already at the highest tax rate. We were paying a lot in taxes. Our business was growing, and I couldn't convince you to leave. You were making, I don't know, back 50, 60,000, whatever it was. And I kept telling you, but look what the business is making. We don't need you to do that. And it was fortunately our accountant, Vivian, who I said to Vivian, what do you think? Should she keep working and making 50, 60, 70, whatever it is, or just relax and help me in the business more? And she looked and she goes, oh yeah, it's dumb for you to work. You're just paying taxes.
I think, like, the more I think about that, because I've thought about this before, maybe it was like a fear of losing my identity. Like, who am I if I'm not a nurse? Like, I don't know anything about business. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it was just that I just didn't know what to expect. And I knew nursing, and I had my whole identity was part of, all my friends were nurses. Like, everything was nursing. To go to something so radically different, it just wasn't enticing for me.
Yeah, I guess. But the real reason that, first, a few reasons, but sometimes you'd come home crying because you were worn out, or a baby died that day, or a doctor yelled at you, because he's a jerk. So I didn't want you to be there anymore. I wanted you to be with me, help me grow our business, not that hospital's business.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the thought process there. But finally, Vivian convinced you to quit. Oh my God. If there's anyone out there who's a guy and whose wife is working and you'd rather her not work, and maybe she'd like to not work, do everything you can to make that happen. It
Pretty
changed.
life-changing.
Oh, it changed our life. The level that our lives just, man, the way things changed. Having a mom home for the 2 kids, that was huge because, you know, one of the kids is sick. Oh, stay home with them.
Yeah.
Or bring them to work with us. We'll put them, if they're a baby, put them in the playpen or whatever, you know. But then on top of that, we did, we said, well, you're home now all the time. We've always said, what if we had more kids? We had our 3rd kid and then we had our 4th kid, and that wouldn't have happened had you stopped work, had you kept working. And had you kept working another 5-6 years, maybe it wouldn't have happened either, because now you're pushing it.
Yeah.
You were 30. You could still,
and
you were healthy.
The gap between the kids would have been too big,
Yeah,
too much.
too
I
big.
wouldn't want to start over after, you know, so many years.
Yeah. So next time you're not sure whether to take my advice or not, remember that
Are you
if
not going to say the story? I was waiting. I thought you were going to open with the story.
Which one?
The Federico story.
Oh, Federico Avila. There was this guy.
Here we go.
I forgot his name. The other day I was trying to come up with the name and I couldn't remember.
Oh, goodness.
So Jessica and I were dating. I just moved to Miami and I saw that she worked at a not-for-profit hospital. And I said, you know, your hospital has a 403B and they'll put money. They'll match your, whatever you put. You put $100 a month, they'll put $100 a month. So even if the stock market crashes to 50%, which is unheard of, you break even. And if it goes up a little bit, you're way up because they're going to give you money for free. And she'd say, okay, maybe I'll see. And then I even asked you to find out, and you found out for me. And I go, look, they're going to match like 7% of your contribute, whatever. So if you put whatever, they'll match money. And then you'd say, well, we'll see. I don't know. And every time I talk to you, like at least once a week, I would continuously say, Jessica, it's free money. Why wouldn't you do it? What do you have to lose? It's your money. It's not like I'm saying, hey, write me a check and give it to me. I'm saying, put it away. You're going to pay less taxes. It's going to grow. And you kept saying, I'll see. We'll see. And then one day, I'll never forget this. You came home. I was at your mom's house and you got there and you were so excited. Oh my God, guess what? There's this guy. His name's Federico Avila. Poor guy.
I know. Now you're like throwing his name out there.
Well, he's a good guy. He did a good thing. So I got nothing bad to say about him. But you were praising this guy. You were saying, Federico, explain to me that if I put away money in this retirement account, it's called the 403B, that the company will match X amount of dollars and I get all that money. I save on taxes. It grows my retirement. I let you finish it all. You're talking and I go, okay, bite my tongue. And then when you're done, I said, isn't that what I've been telling you for the last few months? I was
excited because I thought you would be excited. Like, look, I did what you were saying.
Yeah, but you came walking in like the guy was a knight in shining armor and he gave you all this wealth of, it's what I was saying for months. He was there to earn a profit because now he gets a commission off you for all these years, decades. I think you moved it since then.
I did.
But I got nothing to gain except for helping you. So that should help set a precedent for you. Just follow my advice because it's always pretty damn good.
And how you're always right about everything.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Remember the time you were working on a laptop? This has been laptops were like $2,000 back then.
It's because did you tell the audience that you're like a witch doctor? That
I can predict the future. I have an ability to predict the future. I see things before they happen. So you were sitting in our kitchen with like a $2,000 something laptop because they were expensive back then. And you were at the bar stool at the high top side of the kitchen on the outside. And the laptop cord is here by your foot plugged in. And I said, Jessica, instead of plugging the laptop here by your foot where it could get tangled and crash, why don't you unplug it and just put it on the kitchen side, on the safe side, on the counter over there where nothing can go wrong? And you said, that's not going to happen. And I go, okay. But I really think, what is it to you? Why don't you just unplug it and put it on no, it's not going to happen. Okay. I walked away.
Mind you, I've been using my laptop like that for months.
Okay.
Nothing ever happened.
Well, just because you do something the wrong way for so long doesn't mean it's right. So then I go to the office and I hear the loudest explosion and like pieces shattering and going everywhere all over the floor.
Like, did your thing.
Yeah, voodoo. And then I walk in and I go, what happened? That thing cost me like $2,400. Back then where, number one, we didn't have a lot of money and things were expensive then. And I said, what happened? And you told me the cord, as you were getting off the high chair to get down, right? Mm-hmm. You got twisted in the cord, exactly as I called it.
So if we want to go there.
Ooh. Go on.
So you can see the difference between men, or not men and women, just me and you, is that in a similar fashion, you were building the kid's crib. I think it was Reagan's crib, our daughter's crib. We had ordered this one specific crib. It wasn't in stock. We had to wait. Finally, it came in. It took forever for it to get there. It came in, got it delivered, and he's building it. And I said earlier, he's not handy, and that's the truth. He's not handy. You were doing your best. You were building it, and I see the head of the crib kind of like leaning on the
wall.
On the
I had
wall.
it up against the wall while I worked on the other part.
Yeah. And I said, is that safe there? Like, I'm not sure you should have it there. You're like, no, it's fine. I said, okay. And I go to the kitchen, and I was doing something in the kitchen when I heard a same, splatter.
Explosion.
Yeah. And I walk in, and there's the crib broken in pieces.
Yeah.
And I just walked in. I just looked on the floor. I looked at you, and I walked right back out. I didn't say I told you so, or I've been telling you, or none of that. Because I knew that you must have felt bad. I knew you were
the way you did it really was worse.
Very passive aggressive. Is that what you're going to say?
For sure. So here's the difference. That laptop, $2,400 out. I had to go spend another $2,400. That crib thing, I called the company, and they just sent the new one for free, the headboard part of it. So that was free. And we got it like 3 days later. And I finished the crib. The baby wasn't even here yet. And then this is great. You had a big cup of water, brother. And it was down lower in the kitchen
Let me
counter.
Think of something else then.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I'll keep them coming because your memory's horrible. And
that's the truth.
And you had, so our bar in the kitchen was this high, but then the counter was down here. So there's like a little area, and you had your phone right on the edge and a big glass of water right under it. And I go, why don't you move that glass of water out of the way? Because if by any chance you bump that phone, then you're going to...
By the way, has never, ever happened. That phone has never fallen out of my hands, ever.
Mm-hmm. So I said, if you bump that phone, it's going to fall right in that glass of water. And you said, that's not going to happen. And I go, okay, but so by the way, my request was, why don't you unplug a cord for the laptop? That's easy to do. It's just boom, boom, done. The other one was just move the glass of water. But that headboard was very heavy and big. I couldn't move it. I didn't have anywhere to put it. I
could have helped you move it.
Yeah. You were pregnant. So, you were 9 months pregnant. I wasn't going to ask you to move anything. So, and then guess what? A minute later, you came over to tell me the phone fell inside the thing. And back then, phones were very expensive.
Again, you're voodoo.
So the point of this is, listen, do what you're told. All right, we've been going here like an hour or so. For me, it feels like minutes because I love talking to you. And during this interview, while we were talking, interview, chat, whatever you want to call it, I was looking into your eyes, and I had a thought, like, for a moment, I'm a good listener, but for a moment, I'm not sure what you said, but I thought, you're so beautiful, and I'm so in love. I really am. I'm so happily in love being married to you. It's amazing.
I'm very lucky to have you in my life, and I love you so much. And
right,
it doesn't matter how much I tell you. I don't think you would understand, but
we'll see about that.
I don't know. We're soulmates.
Yep,
so
we are.
You're stuck with me.
All right. So if somebody wants to tell their wife or their girlfriend or their sister or their mom about your program, or there's a lady listening who'd like to level up. Now, this isn't just like the men's program. This is not for losers. This is not for people who are in the gutter and their life is absolutely horrible. This is for people who are winners and they're trying to get better.
Yeah, right? These are people who want to just keep learning and level up and just be 1% better every day, which is the goal, even for me. Every day I want to be 1%.
So how do they sign up right now for the program?
So you go to 31dailychallenges.com.
That's the number 3, the number 1.
Yep, dailychallenges with an S.com. And you click on our programs and you'll see Jessica's program, and that's it.
That's it. That's the women's program.
It all comes out to $7 a day.
For 31 days.
For 31 days.
And
the Starbucks coffee a day.
Yep. And it's a lot healthier. No carbs. No processed sugars.
And you get to meet really badass women who just are ready to, to grow and push you and inspire you and be inspired. And
there's a start date there's multiple start dates. The next class starts on this day, the next one on this one. But what I found is, because on that same website, we have the men's challenge that I run. And what I found is sometimes people go, oh, but the next one doesn't start for a month. Mm-hmm. So what? Sign up. Mm-hmm. Instead they think like, oh, I want it to start today or tomorrow. Well, we got to get a book out to you in the mail. We got to get the WhatsApp channel with everybody introduced before day one. It takes a couple of weeks. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I don't know that logic. Right. We don't.
It's just an excuse.
It's always an excuse. Mm-hmm. Like if we see, man, that sounds good. I want to improve my life. When is it? If you told us the next one's in 2026, you and I, the way we are, we'd sign up.
Yeah. I mean, my marathon is in January, but I signed up back in like August.
Of course.
I want to be part of it. Let's do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and I have things scheduled. We got a couples retreat in late September, 2025. It's scheduled. We blocked our calendars off.
My sisterhood retreat.
You have a sisterhood retreat that's blocked up. You schedule these things way in advance and you work toward them. Yeah. I don't know how people operate their lives, that they must do things at the last second and then they're not showing up prepared.
Like we have a friend who likes to wait to the last minute, I guess, to see if there's something better that pops up.
It's a FOMO. They committed to something, but what if, I missed out on this other thing, I guess. But
that could be one excuse. But again, at the end of the day, it's an excuse.
That's an excuse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you tonight at home.
I will see you in a few hours. You better be home before tonight.
Yeah, well, tonight later today. Then I'm going to hot yoga. All right. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
More importantly, for being my wife and the mother of my children and my love of my life.
I love you.
Love you.